All right, so we're here with Jeff Gregg, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what his business is and what he does. So just tell us a few things about what you grow, where you ship to, all those things.
Okay. As you said, I'm Jeff Gregg with North 40 Nursery. We grow probably about 35 different varieties of shade trees, evergreens, sunflower and deciduous trees, but mostly shade trees and evergreens. But this is some dogwoods, pears, things like that. But a lot of maples, a lot of oaks, a lot of hemlock, a lot of green giants, a lot of leyland cypress. That's just a part of the mix. Like I said, we do a little over 35 varieties, and most of our material is shipped not local. It's either some in North Carolina, but mostly out of state. I mean, probably 60% of our business is Northeast, and then another 20% will go west, and then the other Midwest, I would say, and then some south, right here in North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, in that area. But we harvest, I would say, if you count all the nurserymen in this area, not just mine, but all the nurserymen in this immediate area, we probably harvest in the neighborhood of 200,000 trees a year that are shipped from this area out to other states and locations. We don't supply our own trucking. We have a couple trucks, but we hire guys that have their own trucks and trailers to haul our material. But a lot of it, like 99% of it, is out of town. I mean, you do a little bit here, but I think he's looking at loads like this load's going to Connecticut. Another guy over here is hooked to a trailer that's going to Long Island, New York. The guy across the road's going to Massachusetts. So we use a lot of these small trucks to haul in out of the field from where the guys have been digging and doing, as you can see the way we've balled and burlapped it up.
So we're here right now in the spring. Spring is the time you dig, right?
So what we do is spring and fall, and we do some summer digging. We dig a lot of evergreens during the summer too, but normally your mad rush is from March to June. Like March, April, and May are our big months, and we ship probably 75% of our material in 3 months.
So you grow all those, so we can see as we look around, you've got trees everywhere out in these fields. Do you grow just here, or you have other fields, other places?
We've got other fields and other locations. We've actually got 5 different locations that we grow on right now, and process of adding a couple more. But and in the growing process, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 9 years. You average about 7 years for a product to be from the time you grow it as a seedling up to the sellable stage, and depending on the size you're going after. But anywhere from 5 to 7 years, you like to try to have it marketable and sold. But there's a lot of work involved in that, between the planting and the weed controls, your fertilize, and the erosion control you have to go through, and it's a full-time job. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people we hire in the springtime around 40 people. We keep probably 25 on board full-time year-round, but during the spring months we've got around 40 guys here, and that's not counting truck drivers and other things that that do benefit from this business. I mean, the nursery industry has grown into a big business in this area. And it's
so in our area, especially up here in the Caldwell area, we've got lots of nurseries.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like I said, in this immediate area, just Caldwell and right around in here, from here to Caldwell, like I said, there's probably, and I'm just guessing conservatively, probably 200,000 trees that are grown and that leave here every year going to the market.
Is this one of the primary areas that people grow trees in, or I know it seems like we have a lot right here, so you ship all up down the East Coast, right?
Yes, ma'am. This one, we got real fertile river bottoms here, and you've got access to water, which you'll notice most of the nurseries are planted pretty close to water where you can irrigate your plants and stuff, and we're blessed with all the areas we have that are on the river banks and bottoms, real fertile, like I said, soil, And you also have a mixture of clay and stuff too that you can grow other product. And it's just a real good growing environment in this area. Which is, you know, they have like McMinnville, Tennessee. That's another real good area. And you mentioned the East Coast, up the eastern shores of Maryland, Jersey, up along the coast there. They got some good growing areas. But this one right here, as far as North Carolina goes, is probably would say within the top 3 in the whole United States as a grower as far as tree goes, because we can market it in the South, and we grow the product that works up north too. We can do the different zones very well. I mean, our trees adapt to the climate in a lot of situations, so we're very blessed to have it, you know, that way. It's been a lot of hard work, but we still, you know.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been since I was about 45 years, me, but I was 17 when I come out of school and started doing it with my dad then. Before that, I'd actually, you know, worked while we were when you're in school. You worked in the nursery industry. There's always something to do, and Dad made sure we had plenty to do. So he kept us boys really hopping. We're very blessed. Like I said, had a father that put you to work and did, you know, instilled that value in you. But yet we've grown to a level now where we were being able to help others do the same thing, keep on. We got youth coming on and got a lot of different jobs that we do create, as you were talking about jobs. I mean, but not just here, but the fertilizer companies, the gas companies that's filling up here now, the truck drivers, as I said, the machine operators. We're all the time hiring out, you know, work to do and operating machinery and things like that. But, you know, just here in the nursery industry, there's a lot of jobs that are available if people are willing to work and want to do it, and you know, pretty good paying jobs now too. It's not used to. The nursery industry is known for low pay, which farming's always been a little low, but now the pricing's up. Everybody's making well above minimum wage. I mean, we're probably, our average pay rate's probably between $12 and $16 in that area.
So, but those people work hard and they're outside and.
Yeah, but that's a blessing too. I mean, a lot of people like it out here. You know, even if it's raining, it's still, you can breathe, it's comfortable, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, but you know, that's me.
And you have a couple people that work in your office, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So.
Got 2 right now. Sometimes we have 3 to 4, but most of the time 2. And we got. That's the load that they're loading the ship. It'll be, actually that one's going to Connecticut, so. These are trees that we've just planted, like maybe 2 weeks ago. Some of them are oak trees. There's some magnolias here, but there's some maples on the other side over there. But you notice how we have to stake the trees to try to keep the leaders straight and plant. And you know, the planting was involved, and then now you're staking. We're going to put out a pre-emergent weed killer next week, and then fertilizer will be probably about the end of April, 1st of May. But this tree's here, you can see this and go to that, and that's about 7 years. You're going from here to here, and that's
for the ones that are have the white on the bottom. That are,
right. These that are planted, those that are dug up and burlapped and balled and ready to ship. Leaf hollies are probably 5 years old from the liner, and they're pretty much ready to ship anytime. You'll go from 5 to 7 foot. The green giants are around 10 footers, the same age. That's about a 6-year plant right there from a 1 gallon pot.
So then when somebody buys, who buys from you? Is it like landscape businesses? Is it just people on the street? Is it?
We don't sell anything to the public. We're not taxed to set up to sell to the public. We're a wholesale only grower, what's known as. 90% of our stuff sold to mine is anyway to garden centers.
Okay.
And then probably 10% straight to big landscaping companies, contract landscapers. But that's, 90% of it goes to garden centers. Then they distribute it out to the homeowners and the garden, landscapers, things of that nature. Some more. These are some evergreens that we're harvesting now to clean this field out. This process. Restore it. We're going to plant a cover crop on here, grow it for a year, and then we'll
go back to another round of trees.
Yeah.
What kind of cover crop do you use?
Sometimes we use soybeans and and then we use sorghum some winter rye sometimes. And just different ones, but
do you do anything with that, or you just
no? We just turn it in. Sometimes turnips in the fall work good in ground. We're just restoring the ground.
Kind of crop rotation idea.
Right. Some bulk lime that we'll spread on the field when we get, like that one back there. When we get it ready, we'll spread the lime before we plant the cover crop. Smaller dogwoods. This would be a crop that's like in between. That one back there we just planted. These are 1 year old that were planted last year about this same time. That's how much, like you saw those with no structure.
They start spreading out.
Yeah, this is how they're starting to develop.
What are those?
This is elm. Here, and over here's some Okami cherries. There's some maples right in front of you also.
These cherries are pretty.
Yes, ma'am, they are this time. When they're blooming, that's more dogwoods. And this is like the green giant we just looked at back there that was said was around 7 years old. These are 1 year from a 1 gallon pot.
So you plant those in the springtime too?
Yes, plant spring and fall on the evergreens, but these were planted back in the fall.
Okay. Jeff, is this your irrigation over here?
Yeah, well, there's another one down here.
Okay, can we jump out and show people that? Because they'll...
Yeah. Like I said about the fertile river bottoms on the river, we were blessed to be able to have our own water. A lot of people have to use ponds, things of that nature, which we have a pond on the hill for our holding yard. But as far as irrigating the trees, about 99% of our stuff is planted close to the water where we can irrigate out of the river. And this is a prime example of it, just electric pump. Some places we don't have electricity, we have to use diesel powered units, but this one is an electric one.
So when you're irrigating, you hook pipe up to this system, or is it already in the ground?
Now we installed all this. It's underground pipe from here all the way to the top of the hill up there. So you've got different risers, like where you see the post, and that's different risers that you can connect your water reels or your sprinklers. There's sprinklers up on the top of the hill. But, most of these we use those water reels like the one you see out here. And you hook the reel up to the riser here and pull the hose out the field, and then it brings itself back in while it's watering the tree.
So it pulls the water out of the creek right there?
Yes, ma'am. The pump does.
The pump does.
To be honest with you, in the last 3 years, we have used it very little in these fields. It's been so wet during the summers. And We've actually lost a lot of product because of it. But too much rain hurts us worse than too little. We can water it, but
If
we
it's
can't
not
take it
raining.
away, you know, when it gets too much. And obviously being close to the river bottoms, your chances at floods, and we've had a few.
And so if it floods, it gets up in the trees, and then
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
just a mess.
Yes, ma'am. Back in '04 when it was so bad, no, 2004, I've seen it up to that mailbox on that
Oh, goodness.
thing. It was this whole bottom, you couldn't even see the trees down there. But, you know, haven't had one like that in a while, but we've had some small ones in these other farms that have covered the field. That's the, like I said, you're blessed to have the water and you're right beside it, but that's the chance you
take
got to
when
take when you're right beside it. It's part of it, you know. But
So your finished product, when you sell a tree, what does a landscaper buy it for? Like a mature tree, what does that cost usually?
I'd say average, like those are 3-inch trees. That's like $125, something like that. But then you're down to a smaller size like the dogwoods. You're looking at anywhere from $45 up to $125 on those also, but smaller ones. We don't dig anything much less than 1.25 inch caliber, what we go by, and the height and stuff. And then the evergreens, we don't dig much less than 5 to 6 foot. Everything ours is 5 to 6 up to 14, 16, 18 foot tall.
So when you talk about those are 3-inch trees that he's videoing, that's how big around
That's the caliber, the base, about 6 inches off the root ball.
Okay.
But, you know, and the evergreens you go by height, and the trees most of the time they go by caliber. Trimming, you know, I've done every bit of it. And back in the day before we had machines, a lot of it too we did by hand.
Right.
Which my father always said that the machinery here, like the skid steers, ruined the nursery industry because we started growing and being able to ship, you know, 6 loads a day of product as opposed to 1 load a week when you were doing it by hand, everything. And
so now you dig everything with machines. So you dig, you spray.
95% of our stuff's done with machinery. We do a lot of our spraying by hand. You know, a lot of Roundup sprayed by hand. A lot of fertilizing's done by hand. Trimmings, every bit of it's done by hand. So there's a lot of trimming goes on. I mean, we've got a crew that trims pretty much 300 whatever days a year they work, but they, you know, 6 days a week they're trimming trees. So you have to stay to keep, you know, to maintain a good structure and to keep these great evergreens tight and everything. You have to trim a lot.
So they just rotate through different fields or places.
Yeah, they're in Caldwell right now in a field we got, and they'll move from there to the farm we've got in the game one. They just, yeah, they've already trimmed these, as you can tell. But
so how many like places do you have, different locations that you're growing trees in?
We've got 5 that we grow on main farms. I've got a couple small little ones, but 5 main farms that we grow on. And in the process of adding 1 more, but it's just.
How many acres do you think that is?
We're around 400. We've got trees on, so.
So do you own all that land, or do you lease it, or?
I own most of it. I've leased some small farms. Like I said, we've got some small little 20 acres down the river here. I've got 10 acres from a guy over here on this end. And it's, we lease part of it, but most of it we do own.
About how many trees can you get in an acre?
You get anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 right in that area, depending on the space. And right now we're spacing them a little further apart, so we're down to about 1,000 trees per acre.
That's a lot of trees.
Yeah, we've got about 150,000 trees in the ground. So, you know, they're not all marketable right now, but we've got that many coming on, I hope.
About how many new trees do you plant every year?
We try to plant somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 100,000, probably about that. But you're going to lose, you know, percentage of them between the drought, like I said, which is very rare lately, but moisture. We've lost more trees because of too much water.
What
In the
happens?
last 3 to 5 years, it just rots the roots off of
That's
them.
what I was gonna say. What happens to when there's too much moisture?
It's too much moisture, rots the root system, and the tree just can't develop, and eventually it just dies. If it don't die, it stunts it to where it just don't grow right for us to where you can't work with it. But you do that, and you get some deer damage. You get some, some trees just will not grow the way you want them to, and so they claim around 10% loss, and that's probably pretty accurate, So normally you have to plant a little extra to allow for that, but you like to get those in the 90% or 95, 100% if you can, but very rare you're going to get 100%. But you get like boxwoods, for example. You don't see many of those that are dead. You'll see a few that are smaller than the other ones, like you see that one row where and there's that basically supposed to a little pocket there of water where it's too much water's there, and that roots on those plants aren't as good as these out here.
So when you get ready to dig, will you leave those and try to let them grow, or will you just pull them out?
They've been there as many years as the other ones are, and they're not going to get any bigger than that. They just won't do it. You're better off if somebody wanted to take it and plant it. You can, when you dig it up, like that small one, and move it to another location, it's like you'd cut those roots and root prune it and let them come back, then it'll grow. So we do a lot of that. A lot of times like that field, we'll take all them little ones and move them to under another, make one row out of them and grow them a little longer. But can't just leave them in the field. We got to work that whole field.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought that would be a waste of space to have one thing in the middle and
yes,
then
it is.
Something else around it.
It is, but that's where sometimes you have to leave some a little extra year to try to let the other ones catch up. But it's I don't know. It's a lot of gambling, to be honest with you. My daddy used to say the people in Vegas, then people talk about them being gamblers. There's nothing like a nursery business being a gambler, because you're putting it in the ground and planning on 5 to 7 years down the road that is it going to sell, or is it going to make it? It's all farming. No, farming's a big gamble in a way. You like to think you know what you're doing, and you do the best you can with it, and then if it works, which it has, I mean, we've been very blessed, and it's all worked out great. For 45 years I've been doing it, and done nothing but grow. So I look forward to do that many more. I hope, for my grandkids' sake, that they can keep going for 4,500, whatever years the good Lord lets us stay here on this earth. That's up to Him. But I'm looking forward to another 25 or 30 anyway.
I think you can make it. I think you can make it 25 or 30 more.
That's what I tell my grandkids. They keep talking about it's going to be this old, that old. I said, I'm still going to be here when I'm 100. So.
Well, I hope you are. That'd be awesome.
That's the plan.